Are we good, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to think so. So let's go ahead and get this started, and let's not keep you here any longer than you need to be. Yo, peoples! I need to lower myself just a little bit on my chair. QShoe92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. The last chapter kind of left a lot of thoughts in my head concerning Star and Stripe and what Shigaraki is going to do, because in the last chapter, in chapter 332, it ended with Shigaraki placing his hand on Star and Stripe's face. Now, we don't know what is going to happen to Star, so let's go ahead and read it. Chapter 333 chapters of My Hero Academia. Who would have thought? 300. Chapter 333, Spectre. And here's Shigaraki thinking, what set me on edge, like nothing else, was the thought of New Order and One for All colliding. I put a stop to the Safety Commission and got my overseas associates to stir up trouble in order to delay the convergence of foreign heroes upon Japan. Oh, this is All for One. This has got to be All for One speaking. Not Shigaraki, but this is All for One. What set me on edge, like nothing else, was the thought of New Order and One for All colliding. I put a stop to the Safety Commission and got my overseas associates to stir up trouble in order to delay the convergence of foreign heroes upon Japan. I plan to perfect this body and steal One for All before challenging New Order. One for All, the accumulated power that could foil all my designs. Once it was mine, all the other conspiring forces of the world, including New Order, would have been ants before me. And in this illustration, it just shows an elephant stepping on ants, whether you knew it or not. This, most likely, unsanctioned free-spirited early visit of yours was the one scenario I hated to imagine. Placing this incomplete body on the front line was a gamble I was forced to make. And then it shows Shigaraki taking his hand off with him screaming out, "But I've won this roll of the dice, USA!" And then it shows crack lines appearing on Star, but then she says, "Kathleen Bate won't Yo! We found... Yo! Is my mic on? Yes, my mic is on. Yo! We just found... This is the first time that Shigaraki's decay quirk has not worked. Yo! Kathleen Bate won't decay. And she speaks a new order over herself to keep Shigaraki's decay quirk from killing her. I knew it wasn't the end of Star. I knew it wasn't. She just made herself immune to Shigaraki's decay quirk. Yo! This is the first time we ever seen this happen. Because nothing has been able to resist him. Especially his decay, and especially in its evolved state, nothing has been able to resist his decay. But her New Order quirk overrides the very nature of his own quirk just by her merely saying, "I won't decay." And she doesn't. Yo! I love this so much. And then one of the pilots says, "She took the hit for my sake. You total idiot!" And then Star says, "I'm done for. It exceeded the cap of my endurance boost." And then it shows... Oh, yo! She kept herself from decaying, but it appears that Shigaraki has stolen her New Order quirk. I thought it... Oh, so much for a hype moment. I mean, sure, she resisted his decay quirk, but Shigaraki has just stolen New Order. "I've stolen it. Idiot, you say? I have to agree there." Your body began decaying the moment I absorbed your body began decaying the moment I absorbed your quirk. New Order requires those verbal commands, so you couldn't protect yourself as it was being stolen. You prioritized saving your own skin and lost everything in the process. This is where it truly begins, Yoichi. The stories I read with you that day. You thought I didn't realize there was more to the story. Wrong. New Order. Okay, so the inner monologue will be All For One, but the actual voice will be Shigaraki. That's what I'm doing. Your body began decaying the moment I absorbed your quirk. New Order requires those verbal commands, so you couldn't protect yourself as it was being stolen. You prioritized saving your own skin and lost everything in the process. This is where it truly begins, Yoichi. The stories I read with you that day. You thought I didn't realize there was more to the story? Wrong. New Order. I knew how it would go, so I chose to stop reading there. The air is... And then it shows Star and Stripe in the subconscious of Shigaraki looking at the malformed shape of both Shigaraki and All For One. And then Shigaraki's body deforms and explodes. All over. What the heck? Because the thing is, Star is in the subconscious. It shows an image of Star in the subconscious of Shigaraki, All For One. All for Shigaraki. I'm going to call him that from now on. All for Shigaraki. All for Shigaraki right now. And then it shows his body slightly deforming, and then it shows his body exploding all over. What just happened? Tomura's bursting apart, says one of the pilots. He really is. What's going on? My quirks are exploding out. Hang on. You think that maybe Star? Yo, hold on. What happened to All For Shigaraki? What happened to Shigaraki? Hang on. You think that maybe Star? There was no time to blow him apart with your plane. So I set a new rule at the last second. New Order revolts against other Yo! Star! USA! 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 Yo! At the last possible second, not only did she make it so that she didn't decay from Shigaraki's quirk, but she made a new order that says, New Order revolts against other quirks. So when Shigaraki absorbed New Order, the order that Star gave was on New Order. That made it so that New Order would not work, and it would actually tear Shigaraki apart from the inside. Her quirk is refusing to be under the command of Shigaraki. It is literally tearing him apart, saying, I will not bend to your will. This is like the Elder Wand not recognizing Voldemort as its true master. New Order revolts against other quirks. And then All For One is in there watching as the mental representation of New Order is just tearing into the All For One Shigaraki form inside of this mindscape. And it shows all the people who All For One has stolen quirks from. Their facsimiles are trying to hold on to Star, but given the fact that New Order is just too powerful, it is, it's not gonna work like you think. And it does show that in this image where she said New Order revolts against other quirks, it does show a little bit of chip damage on the side of Star's face there. So is she actually breaking apart or no? We'll find out. But All For One is upset by this, saying, Kathleen Bate! The worst case would have been dying and having my quirk stolen outright. Sure, it would have been nice to protect my body too, as an added bonus. Too bad. Stopping this global menace in exchange for just my life, it's a small price to pay. And it shows Star thinking of her entire flight crew. Bros, thanks for everything. Star! This backlash against my other quirks, like a cannibalistic invader. This is dire. I can only steal quirks or bestow them. I can't just dispose of one. Yo, All for One can't just get rid of the New Order quirk that's ripping him apart from the inside. He can't just get rid of it and just toss it out of his body. He has to give it to someone else. So now All for One is stuck in a state where this quirk is ravaging his supposedly perfect body from the inside out, and he can do nothing about it. I must give it away. The pilots, I'll force it on one of them. And then all the pilots just fire onto Shigaraki's body. Star's still fighting the good fight inside that scumbag. And they just fire on Shigaraki. It's working! He's ready to fall apart! Keep lighting him up, boys! Star's sacrifice isn't going to go to waste on our watch! And then it shows her quirk just ripping into All for One inside of his body. My reflect quirk has been destroyed. Yo! Star's quirk is destroying his other quirks in his body. He doesn't have the reflect quirk anymore. My reflect quirk has been destroyed. Star's New Order quirk is destroying some of his best quirks in his body. He doesn't have the recoil reflect quirk no more. And it just shows Star's New Order facsimile image just biting into All for One and just tearing him apart from the inside. But it also shows Star falling through the air, breaking apart. This is the, this is the end. This actually is the end for Star. She may have delayed the quirk at the last second, but in exchange for making New Order revolt against all other quirks inside of All for One Shigaraki, she got rid of the other order that would have allowed her to survive the decay. And it just shows her breaking apart in the air as all of her pilots are just firing on Shigaraki. And then it shows her thinking back to when she first met All Might. Because you saved me back then, I got to indulge in this lovely dream of mine. And it shows All Might looking at a very young Kathleen. And then Kathleen just looks on with a smile on her face as she fades and completely... As she completely fades. And she salutes. She salutes all her pilots and All Might as she just completely decays away. All Might, this is me returning the favor. And then All for One is just beside himself, screaming, curses! Quickly, darn it! Darn you, Spectre of All Might! As the pilots continuously fire on All for One, and as the New Order that's in All for One is just beating the ever-living stuffing out of him inside of his body. And and that's the end. That's the end of the chapter. Wow, we lost Star. And let me just see what you guys have said. Hello, Juan, Michael, Muddy, Shonen Sensei, Team Mick and Mass. This means the hero has a big chance. Maybe Star's body is physically limited, she said. That's why she decayed. Yeah, she did say that she already exceeded the cap. That's the reason why she started decaying. There's only so much that New Order can do, and she already exceeded the limits of it because of decay. So as soon as she did that New Order, there was only so much that she could do to keep it away. But it only delayed it. It didn't just stop it completely outright. But that's the end of chapter 333, and also the end of Star and Stripe. But it's a sad moment. It's a sad moment to see Star and Stripe go, especially since she's the #1 hero of America. I would have liked for her to at least see All Might one final time, but given the sacrifice that she just did, she's doing far more damage to All For One than anyone else has since All Might beat him the last time. Because now her new order is just completely inside of his body with him having no way to get rid of it. And it's just wreaking havoc on all of the quirks that are inside of his body. Like, he pretty much just destroyed his reflect quirk. So he no longer has that. That's gone. He's not going to get that back. So as long as this new order keeps revolting against all the quirks in his body, it's just going to keep narrowing down the amount of quirks that is in his body that's actually going to give him a fighting chance against the heroes. So Star actually did, by far, just as much damage to All For One that All Might did during their final fight. And for that, I salute you. My goodness, this was a good chapter. Really good chapter. Although our time with her was brief, I gotta say Star is one of the most hyped characters I've seen in this manga. All For One might lose rejection. All For One might lose rejection. Do you mean Reflect? I mean, he's lost Reflect. Because the new order that Star placed on him, or the new order that she put on her quirk, she put a new order on new order that made it so that new order does not obey All For One at all. It's to revolt against other quirks. So since her quirk was stolen from her, that order made it so that whoever absorbed it, all their other quirks, it wouldn't just fall in line. It's now All For One might lose regeneration. That's what you meant. He might lose it if All For One doesn't find a way to, because he said it himself. He can take powers and he can bestow them, but he can't dispose of them. He can't just shoot the quirk out of his body and then it just dissipates into nothingness. He has to either take a power or give it to someone. If he wants to get rid of a power, he needs to find someone else to put the power into. But he doesn't have anyone like that. And he's frantically trying to find someone to offset this quirk because of what it's doing to his body. It is the power of the #1 US superhero just wreaking havoc in his body, and he can do nothing about it. Because in his mind, mentally, internally, he can't, in the scape that he's in, you know, like the little dreamscape, it is mentally and physically and biologically ripping his body apart that he can't do anything about it. He can't use any of his recoil quirks because that's just something far psychological that's going on right now. But it's also biological because it's destroying the very nature of the quirks in his body. And his reflect quirk is gone now. So unless he's able to find someone, I don't know if he's going to try and put it into the flying Nomu that's still around, because it was shown to be around Shigaraki. So I don't know if he's going to try and put it into that Nomu in order to keep New Order from destroying any more of his quirks. I would like New Order to continue ravaging his body so that the quirks that could give him the big significant edge against the heroes are really destroyed, like being able to sense other people and sense other quirk users. I would like for that quirk to be destroyed. As strength enhancers or anything else. Sound wave and the blast waves he has, maybe even the quirk that allows him to shoot out those jagged tendrils out of his hands in order to force quirk activations into people. I would like to see that go, so he can't use that anymore. We'll just have to see. We're not going on break after this chapter, so who knows what's going to happen to All For One, because as of right now, he was so methodical with his speech and everything. He was so methodical with the way he was approaching everything, and he was so sure that after he stole New Order from Star and Stripe, that everything was going to be good. The whole world will be like ants underneath his boot. But now that the quirk has backfired on him, he did not account for that. That is, for all of the foresight that we've seen All for One have. Like, he's had the foresight to lure the heroes into a trap and blow up the mansion they were in. He had the foresight, his quirk search. Thank you, Michael. He had the foresight to pretty much anticipate what Midoriya was going to do, including him leaving UA, including having All Might and Endeavor and Hawks and Best Jeanist follow him, including having all of his hired guns go after Midoriya and perfectly plan for what Midoriya was going to do well before any of these events happened. He lacked the foresight in case the user of the New Order quirk would order the quirk to malfunction or rebel against him. That is one thing that he did not have the foresight for, and now he is suffering greatly because of it. And he is desperate to get rid of that quirk that is in his body because it is just jacking him up. It's just messing up his insides. What if All for One's original quirk is destroyed, eliminating his ability to steal other quirks? Dude, if that happens, the only thing that'll be left if that happens, the only thing he'll have left is just the quirks that are in Shigaraki's body. But the ability to steal quirks, that might actually be the very linchpin that quirk, the All for One quirk that he's named after, is the very linchpin of everything that has allowed him to be what he is. If he was to lose that quirk, sure, he would have other quirks in his body, but the ability to steal quirks. Hold on. My family trying to call me. What y'all want? I'm trying to talk to the... I'll call him back. Right now, I gotta wrap this up. If his original All for One quirk was destroyed, then that pretty much eliminates his ability to ever steal any more quirks. Ever. And he'll just be left with all the other quirks he has. But he will never be able to bestow, and he'll never be able to steal. Pretty much eliminating 100 years of all his built-up expertise with it. Well, I wouldn't say all his built-up expertise with it, but 100 years, over 100 years, because that's how old he is. He's been around since the formation of quirks. He's been around for 100 years. But if his original quirk was to be destroyed by New Order ravaging his body right now, all of his plans pretty much may not do all that much because, well, actually, it pretty much makes all of his plans fruitless because he can't take One for All without All for One. So if his original quirk was destroyed, that pretty much eliminates the whole purpose of this war in the first place. To take One for All and rule over the world. Just flat out world domination. That just goes out the window. Because without that quirk, he has nothing. So it's going to be interesting to see where the next chapter goes. It's unfortunate that we lost Star and Stripe. I'm really sad to see her go. But all the times that we've seen her in all of these chapters, she has been an absolute legend. One of my top, I say about top 20, top 15 heroes and top 15 characters that I absolutely love in this series. Possibly top 10 characters I love in this series. She has already cemented herself as one of the best characters and possibly one of the most powerful characters that we've seen in My Hero Academia ever. Just the very nature of her quirk makes her powerful. Being able to speak things into existence. Like, she created a whole Kokujo Tengen Myo of herself. With the ability to punch holes in the very sky itself. Able to take lasers that shouldn't be able to bend or anything like that and turn them into a Lanza del Relampago. Able to eliminate air in a select space just by gripping the air and saying, air doesn't exist 100 meters in front of me. And all the air is just gone. Even if it's in a space where air should be, it's like you're in a vacuum of space with absolutely no way to overcome it. Her power is unparalleled. Now, it doesn't put her strength-wise in the same league as All Might, but her quirk as a whole is just as powerful. Do you know people are upset at this chapter? Why? Because we lost Star? I'm upset that we lost Star, but at the same time, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it because she's already cemented herself as a great character. And what she's doing right now pretty much cements her as one of the greats. Some people quit the manga and think Hori is a bad writer now because of this death, which was obvious from the possibility of it happening. Are you serious? Some people quit the manga and think Horikoshi is a bad writer because Star and Stripe died? These are probably the same people that probably left the manga when Twice died, but came back. They either quit the manga or took a long break. People think he's a bad writer when he's not. Star was well written. She was well written. She was a well written character. For as much as we saw of her, we got a good understanding of just what type of character she is. She was well fleshed out, and for her to employ her quirk the way that she did, she was well rounded in terms of power scaling compared to a lot of characters in this. Can't say I didn't see her death coming. See, there were some flags. Even people said that the moment that she showed up and started fighting Shigaraki, you saw like, oh, she's going to die. And I was thinking, nah, we'll just have to wait and see. But she does in this chapter. Now, what do I think of this chapter as a whole? I liked it. I really did. I enjoyed it. So many moments. So many moments in this chapter I thoroughly enjoyed. Like Star, even in the presence of her imminent death, has one last middle finger to All for One. And this has cost All for One so much right now because he has absolutely no way to keep her last ditch effort to bring him down from no matter what you wish, no matter where you go, no matter how you squirm, there is nothing you can do to stop it. He literally can't do anything from this last final blow from Star. This is pretty much the worst case scenario. You knew about this since Wednesday, and people are upset. She died. I predicted she died weeks ago, and quirk's stolen. See, the thing with me is I don't read it early. I never read chapters early. I always read it on Sunday. I never read early scans. I used to in the past, but I don't, so I just wait until now. So I'm glad I didn't find out about any of this until the moment that I read it, but people are going to need to get over it. They say they're quitting the manga, but you know they're going to come back. You know they're going to come back. They always are. A lot of people like to say stuff when they in their feelings and in the heat of the moment, but they're definitely going to see you how this story ends. They are. They need to stop. They need to stop playing. She went out like a G, doing what she did was potentially leveled the playing field for our main character. Yes. What she has done has made All for One less powerful. And that's something that not a lot of characters can say that they have done, which is the only person who has done that is All Might. Because he's pretty much impaired All for One to the point where he's not able, like the regular All for One in his normal body, he's not able to do everything that he wants to do because, one, he has a facsimile of his original quirk, which is less powerful than the original, and he's not fully healed in the face. Literally, all of this is gone. He has no eyes, and he has no nose, so the only way he's able to breathe is with, like, a regulator. Star is the only one who has actually managed to wound All for One far beyond that than any other person other than All Might. Because every other attempt to take on All for One has resulted in numerous people's deaths and, the grievous wound to All Might, and that's it. But Star, alongside All Might, is the only one to actually have done significant damage to All for One beyond anyone else. Deku needs to find out his last quirk. We'll just have to see. Hopefully, in the next coming chapters, because I doubt it's going to be the next one. In the coming chapters, hopefully we'll see where things go. I'm glad it's Sunday now. People get their salty emotion reaction out now and get over it. It was around when Lady Nagant exploded. This is like that, but much worse and mainstream. People were upset when Lady Nagant was blown up. See, I was actually surprised when that happened, but then I realized who she was employed to. And then he explained that he put an explosive quirk inside all of his hired guns just in case they didn't fulfill their mission or tried to betray him. So it didn't put it past me for All For One to do that. But Star dying, I honestly feel this may have had to happen. Now, people are not going to like what I say about this is I feel like Star's death, as much as I love Star, and I love her as a character, I really do. I feel that if she remained alive, she could have possibly made Deku's importance in this story less important. Hear me out. Given the very nature of her quirk, she can do a lot of things that Midoriya can't do. She can literally speak situations out of existence if she wanted to. Like, if I'll say your name, your heart stops if you try to move, and that person can just die right there, eliminating a threat. Whereas Midoriya would have to figure out how to surpass this person. Like, say they're an extremely powerful person. He'll have to surpass his own limits, use all of his quirks in order to get past them, and then, with a triumph, succeed. With a triumphant display of power, he'll succeed. But with Star, she could pretty much trivialize a lot of the threats that are left in this story, and therefore make Midoriya's relevance to the story less relevant. Because if you have a far more powerful person than your main character fighting, and it's really your main character that you're trying to keep an eye on and want to see succeed, they don't really, some of them won't measure up to this super powerful person that can trivialize a lot of things that's going on in the story. So with Star's death, we now leave it up to Midoriya to be the finishing blow against All For One. Because, face it or not, as strong as Star is, One For All has to be the one to beat All For One. That's just how it is. This is a story of how Midoriya became the world's greatest superhero. This isn't a story of how Midoriya became Japan's greatest superhero, and then Star and Stripe is still the world's strongest woman and therefore the world's strongest or anything like that. This is how Midoriya became the world's greatest superhero. Not Japan's greatest superhero, the world's greatest superhero. Which means that he would have to be over Star in terms of him being regarded as the world's greatest superhero. So this is Midoriya's story. As much as I like Star, and I really do, her death only really serves to cement the fact that Midoriya has to be the one to finish this. Because if she stuck around, what else is all the other heroes going to do? All she had to do is just say the villain's name, say whatever debilitating order she wants on them, and the fight is over. That's it. There's no way to circumnavigate that quirk unless you have split personalities and you're unsure of who you are whenever she calls your name out. That's the reason why Shigaraki was able to resist his heart stopping when he tried to move 2 chapters ago. But Star would just trivialize all the other threats in the rest of the story, making Midoriya's impact as a whole less important. So with Star's death, this just means that Midoriya has to be the one to finish this. Star's reaction is obviously stronger and more rage from people, as you see on Twitter and Reddit. See, people need to get over the fact that as much as we want certain things to happen in these manga that we read, not just My Hero Academia, but One Piece and Solo Leveling and all the other things that I read, you have to understand that regardless of how much we want certain things to happen, we're not the writers of this story. The author is. We've trusted this author all these years with his writing. Horikoshi has not done us wrong in this writing. For people to insinuate that Horikoshi is a bad writer after 333 chapters, you were going good. You were fine with the story. You had no problems with the story whatsoever. But all of a sudden, because Star and Stripe dies, you suddenly think he's a bad writer when he hasn't been a bad writer all this time? Are you stupid? You need to grow up. Sorry if that's blunt, but these people do need to grow up. Doesn't matter if you think this shouldn't happen in the story. This ain't your story. You ain't the one writing it. We can have our opinions on this story as much as we want, but at the end of the day, it's the author who knows the true vision of this story. You can say you can hate the writing, you can say you can hate the author all you want, but he's still going to continue making this story, and I'm still going to continue reading it. I honestly don't get why people seem to think that just because this character that you absolutely love dies, then that means that the Horikoshi is a bad writer. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's stupid. That's shallow. He had no problems with the story and all these other people dying. Did people have a problem with Midnight dying? Did people probably had a lot of problems with Twice dying, but they got over it. As much of an emotional impact as it was, they got over it. And these people are going to get over that Star is gone. She's gone. She's gone. She is gone. She's not coming back. I really hope all the people who are upset at this chapter actually watch this video so they can hear me say, Star is gone. She is not coming back. But her sacrifice pretty much cements her as a legend that will be remembered. Don't think about how the person died, but think about how they lived and how much of an impact they left on the story. And the impact that Star has left would have meant so much more than if she was still alive. Because otherwise, this New Order quirk wouldn't be ripping him apart from the inside. Just take solace in the fact that Star has done the most damage to All For One ever since All For One versus All Might. Okay? For all of you people who are suddenly upset that this is such a bad chapter and this is bad writing, grow up and move on. You're going to read the rest of this story because you are compelled to read and find out how this story ends. I don't know a single person that says, I'm dropping this manga because this one chapter upset me, and then they just stay away from it. You're going to come back. You're just in your feelings right now. MHA female characters are well written, guys. Come on, guys, give Hori credit. He doesn't make bad female characters like some think. Yeah, MHA Twitter complains every day. I'm on there and I see it, fully agree. People complain on no Deku POV, trauma they missed from the kids they wanted, etc. Lots of stuff people complain on. See, the thing I notice about the internet is that it is 5% useful information and 95% complaining from people over the silliest and minuscule of things. It really is. And Twitter is a cesspool of complaints. It is a literal cesspool of complaints. People literally wait with bated breath for other people to say, yeah, I agree with you, that sucks. They just post their complaints and then stand by for validation. And it's not that serious, guys. Seriously. If you got to complain about something, sure, you can go ahead, but I'm sorry, I'm getting off on another subject entirely. I apologize. It's just, I don't get why people would get mad and upset over a story that they have absolutely no control over, have absolutely no say over, when it doesn't do what they want. This is not our story. So we can be mad and upset all day. But at the end of the day, we are not here because we want to see what we want. We are here to see what the author wants to show us. That's the difference. I know I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but people just need to stop being so ignorant and thinking that if this story does not do what I want it to, then that makes it a bad story. No, you're just very narrow-minded. Just narrow-minded. These types of stories are not for narrow-minded people. Otherwise, you're better off just reading a book with no pictures. Not wrong, preach, people are stupid with MHA. I just read a terrible post on how this guy thinks Izuku Midoriya is a bad main character, which is false. He's a great main character. Look, if Midoriya was such a bad written main character, if he's such a bad character, why do people rank him so high in terms of great manga characters? I never understood that. If you think this main character is so bad, why are you still reading the story? Midoriya is a great written character. People say dumb stuff on MHA so often it's ridiculous. Why does MHA get these bad, stupid takes, man, so much? Because people want an audience. People want an audience to complain, and they want to get a bunch of a group of people to complain with them in order for them to feel like their complaints is justified. That's how complaints on social media and the internet works. I'm going to complain about something, then I'm going to wait if other people agree with me so my complaint can feel like it's justified. Rather than it being a legit complaint, I'm waiting for people to agree with me so I can feel like my complaint makes sense and that it's okay for me to complain about this because other people just agree with me. That's how it kind of works on social media. You complain about something, then you wait to see if people either agree with you or disagree, with the ones where they agree with you being the ones that you pay the most attention to. People don't like constructive criticism all that much as they would like to say that they do. It's just, if you don't like what I like, then we have an issue. But if you like what I like and I dislike this one thing and you dislike this one thing that I also dislike, we can be friends. You can't have any opposing opinions on the internet anymore. You can't have any opposing opinions on social media anymore because then people either try to cancel you or tell you that you're wrong. Apparently, it's wrong to just have opinions. Like, I love My Hero Academia. I am going on way longer than I thought I was with this stream. I gotta record for the newest episode of One Piece, but I love My Hero Academia. It's one of my top stories that I've ever read as far as manga is concerned. I rank it up there with One Piece, I rank it up there with Solo Leveling, and I rank it up with all the other manga that I read, which is, I'm going to be honest, not too much because I haven't read through all of my One Punch Man and I haven't read through all of my Dragon Ball Super. But there are going to be people who don't like this story for real, legit reasons. For people that just says, this character that I liked a lot died. So therefore, the story is bad, and I don't like it. So now I need to tell everyone how much I don't like the story that I've been following all this one time just because this one particular character died. This story isn't about Star. This is about Midoriya. Everyone else is just in there to add to his story. This is Midoriya's story. I don't think people realize that. But if you want a Star and Stripe manga, ask Horikoshi to make a manga about Star and Stripe. But this is about Midoriya and the people in it. If a person dies in Midoriya's story, it is for the narrative to be pushed. Her death serves as a push to make All for One weaker, which will give Midoriya a better fighting chance. What do you want me to say? People need to grow up. Horikoshi is not a bad writer. He's one of the best writers for manga that I've seen. Out of all the manga that I have read, this is the only one where I have to psychologically think about a lot of the things that go on in these chapters. Do deep dives on the mentalities of society and civilian mindsets and how civilians in this story treat heroes when heroes are not able to fulfill their roles as heroes. We've seen it in the past chapters. Civilians will praise heroes to the highest of heights, place them as gods in their mindset with the hopes that, oh, these heroes will keep us safe. But as soon as turmoil and destruction happens, they can flip on these heroes exactly right then and there and become the worst possible things that these heroes have ever seen. People who don't want them. And we've seen this type of mentality over and over and over again. This is not just a story. Horikoshi's writing goes more than just fights, speaking, without you having to turn your brain off in order to just say like, fighting, writing, No. Horikoshi actually gives you things to think about. This isn't just like your average run-of-the-mill superhero story. There are some very, very dark themes in this story. The Hero Society, that in the eyes of the public also does shady things in the background, such as killing off heroes who associate with villains, or having villains killed off in order to preserve the appearance of peace and justice in the eyes of the people. It's not just all sunshine and rainbows. This is a dark story. There's humorous moments, there's comedic moments, there's even lighthearted moments, but it can also have many of its very, very dark moments, such as the death of Shigaraki's family, where he just ripped all of them apart, and you see his family breaking down in front of him in chunks. And we come to understand Shigaraki not as a villain, not as the person that everyone's going up against, but as a character, because he's fleshed out. He's written in a way. Man, let me tell y'all something. I'm sorry I had to steal that from Comics Explained, but the way Horikoshi writes his story, he writes it in a way that you can not only sympathize with the heroes, but you can sympathize with the villains. That's not something that a lot of manga readers and a lot of stories will do. For a story to have you value the lives of not only the heroes, but also value the lives of its villains, literally the opposing force of the people that we're supporting, that's very good storytelling. Compelling backgrounds, being able to flesh out these characters more than just villain of the day, defeat, go to jail, won't see again until the next arc, villain of the day, go to jail, won't see him again for the next couple of chapters. No, these are well-written characters, every single one of them, from Himiko Toga, to Toya, to Spinner, to Shigaraki, to All For One. He's actually still well-written as well, just the very nature of his being as a well-written character. All these different villains, from Stain, and all these other villains who have been fleshed out, Layli Nagant, seeing the backgrounds of these characters and understanding who they are, why they do what they do, why they're motivated to be the persons that they are. Horikoshi fleshes that out where we all can understand each and every single character that is introduced, every major one that is. There are some side characters, but the main characters that actually push the narrative, they are the ones who get the most fleshed out explanations of why they do the things that they do. And when you can create a character that people can understand, that people can comprehend, that people can even sympathize with, that is good writing. And for the world building to be built around that, and it encapsulates all these people in it, and for us to understand the world that these characters are sitting in, and to understand just how these events are taking place, and see them all coincide with one another, without issues, without any plot holes, without even feeling like it's just tacked on top of one another, to feel just like it's another big angle, and another big extra bit of detail, just to, oh, this is cool, for a moment, and then just forget it like everything else. That's good writing. For you to be able to do world building, character development, and then write good action scenes that doesn't feel like it's just padding for time, but it all flows. That's good writing. So to all the people that seem to think that Horikoshi is a bad writer, name one thing that I have just said wrong. Got nothing else. Horikoshi is a phenomenal writer. There's a reason why people go out of their way to see all of his movies that he has with My Hero Academia. There's a reason why people go out of their way to read all of his chapters. There's a reason why people go out of their way for My Hero Academia, because it's a good story. So I don't know what to tell people. I honestly don't know what to tell people. If you don't like My Hero Academia after this one chapter, then you fully just don't understand what the whole of the... you pretty much just missed the point of the entire story. If you think Star and Stripe's death is the very thing that makes this story a bad story and makes Horikoshi a bad writer, then you really didn't have that much respect for the man in the first place if such a thing is just going to throw you off kilter like that. And I just say, I ain't going to miss you. I'm sorry, but I'm going to continue reading this story until we get to the very end. And Horikoshi has been delivering. With the writing, with the way these chapters are, I don't really have any major complaints about Horikoshi and his writing. I don't have any complaints because they make sense and they're good. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. I almost went on an hour-long, almost. This might be the longest I've done My Hero Academia for a stream on a Sunday in a long while. I apologize for it being a little bit too long. It's just that I know good writing when I see it. I've seen bad writing. I've seen the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. I have seen so many bad films, so many bad TV shows, so many bad games where the story just doesn't make any sense, but we're just supposed to just consume product and move on. I know good writing when I see it. And I know bad writing when I see it. All the aforementioned films that I've said, those are kind of the ones that have like bad writing in it. If I mess myself up by saying they were good writing, I've seen bad writing. I've seen the last season of Game of Thrones. I know what bad writing looks like. Horikoshi and My Hero Academia, that's not bad writing. That's great writing. It's a great written story. And I can't wait to see where this story goes. So, that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry if I took too long just voicing my opinion on this story. The longer the better, man. This video was amazing. I love your videos. You're so talented and so hardworking. Keep up the great work. Muddy, I want to say thank you. I do this not only for you guys, but for myself. I love doing this. This is where my passion is. So if I have a moment to speak my mind about what I love, and I love My Hero Academia, I'm going to do it. And I don't care if people don't like it. I'm pretty sure I probably might get some dislikes on this video just because I voiced my opinions on the people that seem to think that this is a bad chapter. It's not. I don't care if you don't like my opinion or not. I'm just going to voice it. And if you like it, so be it. If you don't like it, that's on you. But to say that Horikoshi is a bad writer is quite possibly the most insane and dumbest things that people have said this year. And I've heard a lot of things said this year. So, yeah. But, once again, I don't want to hold you guys up because I want to do my reaction to the 999th episode of One Piece. And due to the poll that I got up, a lot of people are favoring me playing Red Dead Redemption later once I got the episode reaction uploaded. Probably going to stream some Red Dead Redemption 2 later because it's been a while since I last played that game, and there's tons of things that I kind of want to do in there and just have fun exploring the Old West. There's so many things I really got to do. There's challenges and a whole bunch of bevy of different things that I want to do in Red Dead, and I actually want to stream that for you guys today. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I took too much of your time. There'll be plenty of time for us to talk about My Hero Academia even more, especially with me doing my Red Dead stream later on. We'll have many more moments where we can just kind of talk about the story as a whole and where we could possibly see the story going from here. Overall, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.